And we are live on X.
I can't call it X, Jeff.
Well, everybody else is, because for about 3 weeks they're like Twitter or X, formerly known as Twitter parentheses, and now everybody's just like X, X, X. And,
That sounds like porn.
It does. And because I'm Gen X and people would be like, oh, well, back in the 90s when people would do ecstasy, they would call it X. I never did ecstasy. I was always scared it would lead down to coke, and a lot of people it did. A lot of people got hooked on X and then hooked on coke and then, ruined their lives or lost their lives. So it was like a bad path. All right, that was a complete diversion of what I was about to say. But
the update on your drug usage passed, and that you did not do these hard.
No, I never
drugs.
did hard drugs. I never did hard drugs.
Good.
I was too afraid. I saw too many bad.
You're conservative then, right? You're conservative.
No, I was close enough. I was close enough to it to see and know what the bad effects of hard drugs could be. So I was lucky in that respect. And a lot of kids weren't, a lot of people weren't.
No, I mean, I think the time I've ever been around really hard drugs, just like this is like a sidebar, is that during my sister's bachelorette party, we went to New York. I had to drive after work and get down there. And I got down there at like 11 p.m. I go into the club that they're in, and there's my sister, and this dude is following her around with like this case of Molly. And so like I literally walk in, and he's doing that. And the first thing I do is like literally go up to the guy's like case and like push it out of the way from her. And like, I was like, do not.
Well, Well, it's a lot worse when like all the guys and women are like, it's not like just some random person, but they're all just blowing lines like, like it's, it's just, and it's a real, look, just for all you youngsters out there, don't do coke. That's one thing that shouldn't be legal. It has no redeeming qualities. You're an awful person when you're on it. It's not.
Don't do drugs. Drugs are bad. Drugs are bad.
Generally bad. All right, sorry. We'll get back.
Bad.
We'll get back on track here. Okay, Matt Gaetz is a putz. No, he's not a putz. He's a complete retard. Everything going on in Congress right now, this is his fault. Because McCarthy wouldn't sweep aside the ethics violation or ethics investigation against him, and it was a petty personal slight, and he wanted to take out McCarthy. Well, congratulations, shithead. Don't mistake this for anything other than it is, which is his fault. This is his fault.
What I've been driving for the last 2 weeks now, that it is Matt Gaetz's fault. Matt Gaetz does not believe in fiscal conservatism. He voted when he was a member of Congress, and during Trump, he voted for every single spending bill. He didn't ask for cuts in spending. He didn't die on that hill then. And all of a sudden, when McCarthy negotiates the continuing resolution that McCarthy negotiated on, was only 30% of the budget. Now, Jeff, we're in a really big hole right now. Do you think that if we do one big, with a Democratic White House and a Democratic Senate, do you think that we are going to be able to pass a Republican bill that cuts spending in an aggressive way?
No.
Right off
no.
Because you have to understand where the political atmosphere is, and the American people gave the Republican Party the House. And we needed to do this incrementally, right? And so
we control one chamber of one branch of government. That's it. That's it.
Right. Okay. And so McCarthy, again, on 30% of the budget, that was this continuing resolution, negotiated an 8% spending cut along with up to border security spending within that, right? And so he decreased another level, got that 8%, but border security spending got more money increased into it, if anybody understands budgets, okay? So Matt Gaetz decides to die on this hill. And we know that it's not the actual hill that he wants to die on. We know that Nancy Mace doesn't believe in anything anymore. And she said that it was over fiscal conservatism. It wasn't. It was personality again with her.
Yeah.
You see, was it Rosendale in Montana? He never liked McCarthy from the beginning. I'll give him that. But at the same time, is this necessary? No. Ken Buck out of Colorado said that McCarthy lied on what he promised. And it seems to be all over the place on finding a replacement for him. And maybe believes in nothing. I have no idea. Crane in Arizona is a turning point type idiot. And Bob Good got up there on the floor of the House and started bitching and screaming about fiscal conservatism on an 8% spending cut of a continuing resolution, which is 30% of the budget. So, yeah, like, and there's more. I think there was a few more idiots that I just did not comment on here. But this makes me angry, Jeff. Yeah. I do have to say, this entire thing has made me angry. Because we know that Matt Gaetz, everybody knows this. Everybody knows this, that it is not over fiscal conservatism. It is over his ethics investigation that McCarthy would not bury. Okay, this is petty politics. This was 96% of the caucus supporting one man to be speaker and 4%, 8 people shitting on that, shitting on the rest of the 96. So after this happened, after the motion to vacate happened, we have Nancy Mace coming out really cringe and putting on a wife beater, like Walmart wife beater.
God, the scarlet letter thing. Oh my God.
Scarlet letter thing.
Like,
and I was like, you are a 40-year-old woman. What are you doing?
This is not just on her.
She went on Bannon's War Room. She goes on like all these like hard right things with Matt Gaetz, by the way. And it's like, what are you doing? This is unserious. We're not governing here. The American people sent us to take majority of the House to govern, and we're not governing.
What has to happen and what will happen, God willing, is, you know, when a serious Republican president, Ron DeSantis, becomes elected, this stuff immediately goes away. The one thing I'll admire about Democrats is they get their kooks in line. Their kooks say the kooky things, but their kooks don't actually get anything done. They're just they're out there.
Your rep is the Democratic whip, right?
Catherine Clark, yeah.
And I do have to say, okay, like Jeff, like you're right. The Dems get their Looney Tunes in line. The squad learned early on that they need to get in the fucking line.
Yep.
Okay. Catherine Clark, she knows that whip count. She's damn good at her job. I will say that. She is a Democrat. She's good at it. Nancy Pelosi before Hakeem Jeffries, ruthless as hell.
Yeah. This is the thing. This is the thing.
And she got those people in line.
They have to be brought to heel because they're too stupid. They like clicks. They like attention. And, of course, Nancy Mace. You're not doing anything for the stereotype that women aren't accountable for their actions if you're going out there with a scarlet letter, you dumb broad. You voted for this. You voted for it.
You voted with Democrats.
You asked for this.
Let's talk about this motion to vacate, right? Like right now, I see a lot of people with this like Jim Jordan thing being super angry that like Jim Jordan couldn't get to 217. Okay, the number is 217.
Do you know why Jim Jordan couldn't get to 217?
Why?
Because it's Matt Gaetz' fault.
It is Matt Gaetz' fault. Okay, that is the one thing that people need to remember. Okay, so Kevin McCarthy, for all his faults, was a very popular speaker for a Republican Speaker of the House, okay, through his approval ratings. If anybody didn't know, everyone else in fucking government is in the negatives, okay? That includes Biden, like on like big approval disratings. Biden, Nancy Pelosi was there, Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, all in negatives. Who was in the positive? Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy of all people, okay? And yes, he doesn't get like 100% on your conservative union, like approval score, 100% conservative, but he gets there majority of the time and he's a damn good Republican, fundraises for us like hell. Okay. We needed somebody who is a deal maker when we only have like a +4 majority. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is Matt Gaetz' fault. Jim Jordan was never going to get to 217. And then one of the reasons why he was never going to get to 217 is because of Matt Gaetz. In the one time that the moderates grow a backbone,
yeah, this is funny. They're like,
the one time. The thing is like last weekend, everyone's like, the moderates they'll collapse, they'll cave. They did not cave. They did not cave this time.
Here's the thing. Here's where it is. Matt Gaetz wants Jim Jordan. Matt Gaetz will not get what he wants. They're like, fuck this guy. That's what it is. It's like, fuck this guy. You're not getting what you want. So Matt Gaetz, it's his fault. Jim Jordan, who actually, for all the left wing attacks on Jordan, I actually like him. I agree with him a whole hell of a lot, and I do like the way he's gone after, call it our enemies in Congress as just a member of the House.
Jim Jordan's strength is investigations. I think
investigation for sure. And I actually like him. And to tell you the truth, I think he'd be a fine speaker. I really do. But
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, compared.
My opinion on that is because this is Matt Gaetz' fault.
Well, but that's why
I think that Jim Jordan would not be able to control people like him, and that causes us to lose elections.
Okay? But hang on. But if you put it in a vacuum, if you just put Jim Jordan in a vacuum as House Speaker, I think he would have been theoretically fine. But the way this all came about, it was never going to happen.
Okay, I think that is fair. I also think that last weekend when Jim Jordan was like, "I'm going to make everyone vote for me and put this on the floor," okay, like. Kevin McCarthy put in a ton of work in order to be speaker, and he's done this over time, and he's done this by building relationships. Jim Jordan didn't do that. And so, from the beginning, if you're not going to do that and then force it, you're not going to get what you want. And so he didn't. I mean, and then again on a secret ballot, literally on, was it Friday? Yeah. He lost.
Now he's done.
He's done. It's it's Matt Gaetz' fault. It just that's the only conclusion here. It's like we're in chaos, and as a House GOP conference, this is worse than when we were shut. Like Matt Gaetz literally argued that we should have shut down the government and argued as a party to pass a bill. And that was one of the reasons why he took down Kevin McCarthy.
So that's not that's the stupid thing that this is 2014. No, this is 2020. When did Ted Cruz get elected to the Senate? 2010. Yeah, he did. That's
right.
Yeah, 2010. This is 2010 or 2011 all over again. No, did he get elected? Okay, when. He had the bright idea, and then Glenn Beck followed suit. We're going to defund Obamacare. And I remember saying this at the time. I was like, what? We don't have the Senate. What are you talking about? Defund it? Like, bill has to go through the House, has to go to the Senate, and then go to the president's desk. Now, theoretically, Obama never would have signed it anyway. But theoretically, you could at least have gotten it through the Senate, and you could have, done. You could have moved the needle or something like that. But we didn't even have the Senate at that point. And I remember at the time, I'm walking through the Prudential Mall, downtown Boston. And I run into now a former governor who wasn't governor at the time. And I'm like, Charlie, how you doing? He's like, hey, Jeff. It's like, so what's up? He's like, yeah, I'm going. There's a big office building, so he's going up there to get some money for his 2014 winning election campaign. We start chit-chatting. I'm like, yeah, I was like, this is idiocy. Why is Cruz doing this? And he's like, and he says, he's like, yeah, we don't even control the Senate. He's like, we got to control the Senate first. I was like, no shit. and we played this game. You can't defund anything. If you control the House or one chamber, you have very limited power. It's designed that way. You can't go off and start saying we're gonna, remake the budget when it's just not going to happen.
Well, and you also have to do it through incremental actions. Like McCarthy really, an 8% decrease on 30% of the budget, 30% is a lot.
That's not nothing. That's not nothing.
It's 1/3. That's 8% decrease. And then when you do the next continuing resolution, you do another decrease. And then when you do the next CR, it is another decrease.
You know what? Sequestration. Remember, I don't know if you remember sequestration, but back in the day, that was actually working. It was chipping away when we didn't have full power. It was chipping away at what we knew needed to be done, and it worked. But these chuckleheads want clicks. They want their fat faces on TV and on podcasts and online. They don't get it. They don't get it. It's unserious.
It's unserious because they don't really also talk about the main drivers of our national debt, which they apparently care about so much. Then one of the main drivers of our national debt, I'm sorry, I'm coughing. It's like our leaves are finally changing in Massachusetts. And so like when they fall, I always have like a throat thing for like literally like 4 or 5 days. Anyway, the main drivers of our national debt in government or in the federal government right now is interest on the debt. Yeah. And we're not really doing anything on that. Like we have to like take out loans in order to pay our debt. And that's what's causing this interest stuff. Like
it's they're unserious. And here's the thing about it. I won't say I don't care because at some level I care, but until a leader that comes into power to get control of Matt Gaetz and Nancy Mace and the rest of the idiots, we're going to have to live with this. And there are people like, oh, well, this just ensured that the Democrats are going to take back the House in November of 2024. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like nobody like you have to be one of us inside the bubble of the 90s, of the 4% of Americans that pay attention to this shit. Like nobody cares. Honestly.
I do have to say it is pretty. So YouGov, which is not my favorite pollster, did come out with some polling on this. It said that like 46% of Republicans did not want the speaker removed versus like at least 10% less than that. And there was like this divide in the middle. Yeah. Again, we watch politics relatively closely. Like not having a speaker does affect a lot of things. It affects our ability to send support over to Israel, even though the Israel support kind of has already been locked in through a piece of legislation that came like a few years ago. But we're going to have to do another continuing resolution soon. So like, I think that people don't really realize that like in November, like, no, like we have like a 45-day period where we are going to need to figure this out. And like, you need to fucking figure it out. And if it goes back to like getting McCarthy back up there in the speakership again, and we go full circle, like I hope that Kevin McCarthy just like secretly just like goes off on Matt Gaetz. Like,
they should on Friday, strip him from everything. Do whatever you can within your power. Like,
I also don't think that he should be able to put himself as like this martyr because like, that he's going to get up there and be like, I sacrificed myself and my principles for this. You have no principles. Everybody knows that you don't. Shut the fuck up. Like, that's my big thing on this. Yeah. Like, no. Like, you did this over your personal issues, and you're not going to be a martyr here. Like, absolutely not. Like, the 8 literally tried to offer themselves up as martyrs on Friday, like to be like booted from the conference, taken off committees, all this other stuff in order to get Jim Jordan across that line. Yeah. It should not take that. Like, it really shouldn't. Like, it should be Jim Jordan trying to build these bridges with the entire GOP conference so he can get to that 217. He did not do that, and that is a problem. But on the tail end of that, you have pissed off 96% of the conference. A majority of those people want to come to a consensus and find a speaker. Okay. And we literally had like 20 to 25 people that couldn't come there on Jim Jordan. And it is your fault that they couldn't come there on Jim Jordan. You really, really screwed his ability to become speaker at the end of the day. And yeah, it is your fault.
Moving on. The war in Israel and Gaza rages on. You know, I don't think we should cover like too much of the details of it. We can touch on some of them, but the politics here at home are very, very, very interesting to me, because they're very enlightening, and they're revealing a lot of things that we've known for a while, but they've really reared their ugly head. And I'm going to start it off with this clip. Let me just share screen on Zoom, share audio. Okay. All right, share. And we're going to do this. And we're going to do this.
And I think what this terrorist attack in Israel has shown us is we're vulnerable from all the people that have come illegally, because they have come from Iran too. It's not just Mexico, yes, Central America, Russia, China, Middle East, all that stuff. But I think what we also saw, when the blood wasn't even dry on the Israelis who had been massacred, you had people in America going out protesting in favor of Hamas. Yes. And that's like very chilling. Some of these people are not U.S. citizens. They're student visas. So as president, if you're on a student visa and you're a foreigner and you're out there celebrating terrorism, I'm canceling your visa and I'm sending you home. And I think...
Amen and hallelujah. We have a big problem.
Someone said
this is, you know, they did a poll, something like 46, 48% of 18 to 24-year-olds actually support Hamas. So we're getting into stuff with the academia now.
Very scary.
With academia
Very
now that
scary.
they are so hard left in their indoctrination in America's universities that what's taking place is they're successful. They were successful in the indoctrination. So we just did an episode on the Patreon. Go over to patreon.com/RINOpod and about how we still hate libertarians, and they're basically leftists now who blame America first. This is a real problem. Because those students don't just stay at college and then leave their ideas at college. They leave them. They leave the university. They go into the world and they possess the opinion that America is the great evil, and then Israel is, you know, as its surrogate. We got a real problem here with the sympathies, because it's not just that they want the ceasefire to happen, because, you know, you have AOC, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, immediately after the terrorist attack, immediately call for a ceasefire. Like, Israel hadn't even counterattacked yet, and they're calling for a ceasefire. So they're okay. They're okay with
the Israelis were dead,
yeah,
and then they immediately wanted
correct,
a ceasefire.
And as Governor DeSantis said, you had people out in the streets celebrating it. A lot of people. So those people, and we need to be
worldwide,
right? But in America too, we need to be clear about that. These people that celebrate Hamas understand that Hamas launched this attack. They believe that this is a fight for Palestinian liberation. So they support the terrorist attack on Israel. They support what happened on October 7th. It's not like they just want Israel to be measured in their response. They actually support the offensive terrorist attack on this. They are an enemy of the Western world. They are an enemy of America. And we need to treat them as such, because this is what they believe. They are open about this. And he's right. We've had a lot more people come across our southern border. So this is going to be a bigger and bigger problem. And it's time for people who are serious about solving it to come to the forefront. Step in the right direction from Governor DeSantis. One of the individuals who is not serious about it and doesn't understand it, and perhaps has the worst political instincts of anybody I've seen in quite some time, is this individual.
So you agree with Ron DeSantis? I've always said that. I mean, that's the last thing we want. One, because we don't know who they are. But two, Bill, look at the fact that Egypt doesn't want them. Why doesn't Egypt want them? For the same reason that we should not want them. It's because you can't vet them. There are so many of these people who want to be free from this terrorist rule. They want to be free from all of that. And America's always been sympathetic to the fact that you can separate civilians from terrorists. And that's what we have to do.
So that's Nikki Haley on October 17th, and that's Nikki Haley on October 15th. For those out there who I'm friends with in this this is politics, folks. If your candidate has bad political instincts and they say stupid shit, you have to deal with the aftermath. You don't call somebody out as a liar for pointing out what your candidate said. We're down to the serious stuff. And I'm actually, Kaitlin mentioned this before we went on. That this is politics. This is actually good. This is actually good that we're getting to this, that we're finding out what people think, what people would do if they were in office.
Right. Again, I was looking up after all of this constant online kerfuffle between Ron DeSantis people and Nikki Haley people. I actually went online to see how many Palestinian people that we take into the United States. And I think it was between from the last 10 years or so, it could be 15. We've only taken 660 people. One of the reasons why we don't take Palestinians in is because of the Hamas connection and the terroristic tendency of this group of people. It does not mean that they deserve. I think, how can I say this? I want to say it in the right way, because I agree with Ron DeSantis' statement. We are not taking in Gazan refugees during this.
He pointed this out this week that that they're indoctrinated from a very young age to hate Jews, to become suicide. There's the Sesame Street style videos and television that they consume over there. I think
that we should, and I pity that, to be quite honest. I do pity that, but I also am very realistic about my own personal safety. There's been certain case studies on Palestinian immigration into European countries and whether or not that was a good or bad thing based on arrest records and crime. We're not going to take in Gazan refugees, and the answer should have been a clear no from Nikki Haley. We don't need to pretend that this entire group of people in Gaza is going to rise up overnight and take out Hamas. They have kept Hamas in power since they first came around when I was literally in high school, Jeff. Okay. Hamas has been in power since I was in high school. They were elected in. They are the elected, formal, informal government of the Gaza Strip. This was an easy, yes, I agree with Ron DeSantis, and don't take the bait, and then this wouldn't have been an issue. But she took the bait, and she gave this response that was really, I don't even know. I don't even know where it falls in, because I feel like I feel like it would have been optimism, maybe early Obama years, but it definitely was during the GW. Years, because, and a lot of people are kind of delusional on the GWB years of conservatism, because they are definitely, when they talk about him being liberal, and I'm I have no idea what you're talking about, because during his presidency he was pretty socially conservative.
I before the show I was trying to remember what I saw Governor DeSantis say online this week, and now what you just mentioned just brought it to me. I said on this show a few weeks ago, and we do know people that watch that are on the campaign that watch this show, and I'm not taking credit for it, but I'm just glad it's in the ether and it's bubbling up to the governor. Okay, Nikki Haley wants to be liked by the media. Nikki Haley likes going on CNN and getting calls, and what is your opinion on this, and what do you think, and yes we should, we should support that, and America has always done this, and those people want to be free, and that kind of thing. She's invited on there. They want their
they would have had a revolution within the Gaza Strip to take out Hamas. They have not. So we really cannot say that. It should not be a statement that you even like agree on.
But she wants positive attention. What she doesn't, she thinks that the media really likes her. What they're just okay with her as a palatable alternative to Biden should the stars align for her. She doesn't get that. But what she does like is she likes being on CNN. She likes being, quoted in the New York Times. She likes that. And it's clear that she likes that. Ron DeSantis doesn't give a shit. We said this a few weeks ago. He's not there to get accolades from CNN, to get glowing coverage from the New York Times. He's there to break them. He fights with them all the time and beats them every single time they try to come after him.
Right.
And that's the fundamental flaw. And I saw Governor DeSantis point exactly that out this week. I think it was a question and answer. And he's right. Maybe he watches the show. I don't know. But regardless, that's the flaw in her campaign. And she has bad instincts now, and that's clear. That's clear. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove it again here, bad instincts. This is from October 7th. We pointed this out on another show. This is not just an attack on Israel. This was an attack on America. If you're running for president, you don't say that, especially if after the hangover that the Republican Party has about Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, look, we can have a whole nother episode on the Iraq-Afghanistan hangover and how people really need to get over it because we're going to have to use military power. I'm a conservative that way, that three-legged stool. But
I'm worse than a neocon. I believe in utilizing defense where needed.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
No, and I actually don't care about spreading American democracy.
No, I don't care either. That's the flaw. It's just like, no, they're over there. Kill them. They want to harm us. If they threaten our national security, then eliminate the threat. Yeah, that's where I am at. I'm actually worse than a neocon. I personally believe. Yeah.
Yep.
But what you don't do in a Republican primary, or even if you're really a Republican president, is you don't exaggerate. This is the thing that the left does. When you say this is not just an attack on Israel, it's an attack on America. It's like, no, you have to be very careful about what you're saying there.
Yeah, because you need to be very clear about whether or not you support boots on the ground versus
exactly.
Israel is our ally. They have not asked us to come over and help us go into Gaza that we have seen yet, right? And so, but they have asked for our naval capability to be moved. I think they asked for it, or we said that we were going to move into the Mediterranean in order to make sure that to counter Lebanon, really, and Turkey. And
possibly Iran, making sure that they
ensure security, because that's what we do. We do ensure security. That's not us being the world's police officer. When one of our carriers enters any body of water, it is us making a presence. And so, yeah, like I like how Ron DeSantis is just very clear here. Hamas is evil. They will be eradicated by IDF. We will support Israel. I'm going to send, in my capability as the governor of Florida, planes over there to bring Americans over in Israel home. I really like seeing that. And also to send aid where he can from the state of Florida over to Israel. I actually do like seeing that.
Yeah, brilliant political move.
Absolutely. And Nikki Haley has a lot of cash on hand. I don't see her doing much other than going on CNN.
She's buying a lot of TV time in New Hampshire. I'm seeing the TV ads, which is why she's, at 15% or something like that in New Hampshire. But that's it. And here's where I'm. Nobody's taking me on my bet. It's an open bet to those of you who are out there that Trump won't get the nomination, and I'm pretty sure DeSantis will. I'm betting that. Now the odds start at 4-1, maybe 3-1 if I'll give it to you. But I've got enough cash. Take me up on it if you think Trump's going to win it. But I haven't heard anybody, because he's doing everything he can do, and he's doing it right. And this is going to it's going to keep chipping away. He's really doing a good job. He's hitting his stride. His events are packed. He beat everybody in Q3 fundraising, right? He had the most. I think he had 12
He
million.
had-
Haley had 9 million, something like. It was like
he had the most small dollar amount. Trump had to do transfers over from his PACs to his
correct, but not real donors. Like he had to.
But
He
not
had,
real donors.
yeah.
He
So
just-
no, he
Ron
had,
DeSantis had more small donors than
Yeah.
Trump and Haley.
So what you're seeing right now is the culmination. I'm going up to New Hampshire today with the family, and I'm going to be curious when I cross that border how many yard signs I see spread out all over the place, of what they are. And I'm going to go up there wearing this hat. And by the way, I wear this hat all over the place now, and I love it. Look, he is the serious candidate. There really isn't any other.
Yeah.
It's time for Tim Scott and Chris Christie. It's time
it's for them to go. It's time for you to drop out. Like you're not going to consolidate enough votes, Steve, and have a real measure in Iowa. If the goal is to beat Donald Trump in this primary, then they need to start consolidating votes. Dems are really smart about this. Like when they consolidated right after South Carolina to give Biden the nom, so he could beat Trump, because Biden before was the only candidate who was polling above Trump in the 2020 general election. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I think that, I'm not saying this is like the primary's over. I just think that
the lower tier that
look, you need to start dropping out.
Do you know the next GOP debate? I think it's next month. Should be Haley, DeSantis, and maybe even Vivek.
He is qualified.
Yeah, but but the rest of them, no.
Although whether Pence, or not I agree, Vivek should be up there.
Look, but if he but here's the thing: he can be used as an example of how little he knows about foreign policy. I mean, the stuff he's just rambling on about is just nonsense, and the team should be cataloging it and prepping their candidates to just kick the shit out of him again. Because he doesn't know anything. This is the thing. He's like, was he 38? He has that like we were talking on the Patreon episode. He has that like Tim Pool level of understanding foreign affairs in the world. Like he's never read a book. He's a tech bro. So everything he's consumed has been on Twitter or little podcast episodes where you can't understand the vast history of all these different conflicts and what led to them. And what the dynamics of the world by like an hour or 2 hours of listening to some guy come on Joe Rogan. Like, not that I don't love the Joe Rogan podcast, but you can't. It's just there's got to be more. There's a whole universe of study, and it takes a long time to learn these things. So I think it should be the three of them on stage. Maybe Trump will come back. I don't know. Doubt it. Doesn't look like it. Fine. It's fine. I was at a Republican City Committee meeting this week because I'm running for state committee here in Massachusetts, and I'll be on the ballot March 5th. If you're in one of the towns, vote for me, vote for Ron DeSantis. And they're still like, not everybody, but a lot of them are like Trump. And the conversation, Kaitlin, went like this: Trump, 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 Trumpy, Trump, Trump, and Trump. And I was just like, I'm just going there, and I'm wearing this hat, by the way, at it, and. But they were all well over 55. They were 55 and older. They're like just not, just like they're hooked in.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, again, like you go to these RTCs and you go to RCCs and it's just like Trump, 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 Trump. And it's like, do you want to win elections? And their goal is not to win elections. Like, they're like, he beats the left, and it's like, but he doesn't really beat the left anymore.
I've adopted the new tack. I won't say attack. The new tack of he's too liberal. He's too old. That's it. Because you can't really say anything about that. Be like, what? He's too old. He's too liberal. Huh?
He's too old. Time to move on.
Time to move on. Done.
I have the same opinion about Biden.
Yeah. So kudos to Ron DeSantis. You're doing everything right. Keep it up. Don't change a thing. Don't change a thing. Because this is the only thing that's going to get you there. There's no other thing you can do that's going to win this nomination and then win the presidency. This is it. Take on the media when they try to set you up with some lame, almost lame interviews that I saw this week where they tried to go after him. It was beautiful. Nikki Haley will be your foil. She will run slightly to your left. You can hammer her for it because slightly to your left is the incorrect policy position. So it's not even hard to navigate that. The circumstances are developing, and I think people more and more will just wake up and be like, we need somebody younger, we need somebody serious, we need somebody who can get the job done, and we need somebody conservative. And that's it. I still don't think, although I won't bet this, I still don't think Biden's going to be the nominee. I think his health is just...
We don't know. He could be.
So.
He could be some old geezer that lasts forever.
He could be the crypt keeper. Yep.
Yeah, one of those, old sons of bitches that'll never die.
Maybe. All right. Anything else?
No. Good podcast this week.
Yes. Good stuff. Go to Patreon and listen to us bash stupid libertarians for being libertarian. Patreon.com/RhinoPod. You need to watch that episode. Only $1 a month. Don't be cheap. Be cool. Join us. I'm running for Republican State Committee in the 4th Middlesex District. You probably don't know what that is, but basically that's Arlington, half of Lexington, Woburn, Burlington, and Billerica. So if you happen to be in one of those towns, remember to vote for me on March 5th next year. I really hope I'm pretty sure it's March 5th. That's Super Tuesday. Super Tuesday, you're going to pull the presidential ballot.
Correct.
Yeah. So if you're there, you can vote for me. More to come on that. But other than that, it's a beautiful, sunny, cool, crisp fall day. The leaves are turning. And enjoy the rest of your week. So until next time, which will be off next week, but until next time, go donate to Ron DeSantis' campaign. This podcast is not sponsored by Ron DeSantis, although we do know his staffers watch it. So thank you for listening to us and taking into consideration our opinions, because we are the normals and they are the freaks. Anything else, Kaitlin?
No. Everybody have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.